All right, let's kick off the Leaf Hour edition of the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. I'm Nick Kypreos. He's Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee, Derek Brandeo, and Jake the Snake Schultz. We are live on Sportsnet 590 The Fan, Sportsnet 360, and Sportsnet Plus. And remember, you can always download us if you can't catch us live, wherever you get your pod. And at some point between now and July, I'll remind you to text us at 590-590. And Sam needs to work on his reads, apparently, from the first couple of tries already. And
it's early.
It's still training camp for Sam.
Oh, you're getting some
it's okay.
Some negative feedback about me.
Text us at 590-590 and let Sam get back on the bike.
You got to get his feet under him. Have you ever seen someone at camp come in and your coach just says, you got to do extra. Like, you got to do an extra bike ride after the sessions. Maybe that was you.
No, showing up in shape was never my issue. I won awards.
Did you? Were you top of class?
Yeah, and they used to be cash awards, and they
no joke.
In Philly, they'd give you a trophy, the Bob Clark Strength and Conditioning Award. Oh yeah, and took great pride in that.
Wow.
Yes.
I guess I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Pull-ups, push-ups.
Pull-ups.
Dips.
Did Doug McLean ever tell you the Mike Gardner pull-up training camp story?
No.
In Washington? Is he coming on this week?
I don't know. You
tell me. Are we having an off the rails? Are we doing a Friday off the rails so early?
Yeah, we are. He's coming on.
He's your bud. I don't know. You said he might want to come on, so
okay,
maybe.
We'll save it for Doug then. I think I do believe that he's coming on. What is today?
Here's
Thursday?
The problem. The odds of remembering to bring up this story.
Tomorrow he's coming on.
Okay, you're the producer. Remind us to ask Doug about that.
Okay.
Okay.
I will remind you. 100%. 100%.
All right. Are you pumped for today? Not only do we have the first hour Leaf edition and our second hour nationally, where we'll welcome in Steve Valiquette.
Yeah.
How can I forget?
I don't know.
I'm like, who did you book?
Valley, but
Valley's like one of our stars.
I
on the Real
love
Kyper and
watching you
Bourne
guys
show.
when I'm on.
we have
two superstars on the show today.
We do.
Two Real Kyper and Bourne superstars.
Gord Stellick, of course, but he's us.
He is.
He's us. He's more us than those other guys.
Yeah, it's almost like you treat the ones closest to you, with maybe not enough respect sometimes, because we just see him as our family.
Fresh off their Dante's Fiesta.
he's one of us.
Okay, so that'll kick us off, Gord Stellick, in about 25 minutes.
Where did he get? Sorry, where did you get that drop, Derek? That's a good one. One
Which
more
one
time.
was that one?
Can we have that again, Derek? Oh, sorry, I put you on the spot.
Fresh off their Dante's Fiesta.
If Dante still exists, we could use them to send a Fiesta to the room here.
Just to give you some quick background on that, Gordon and I used to work Sportsnet many moons ago, and he couldn't function unless we ordered from Dante's, and he got the Fiesta.
Fiesta.
Like, he was a different person.
Extra peppers. It's Gord Stellick.
Yes. And the garlic bread and all of it. And then
a whole Fiesta.
Then he'd squeeze in a Diet Coke.
Poor Gord.
Okay, so are you excited today? Not only do we have our show here, but we're working tonight nationally on a Leaf Detroit game where I don't know how many stars we'll see, but we're going to see some guys fighting for some spots.
I mean, you may think I'm being sarcastic here, but I am very excited. I love this stuff. I love these preseason battles for spots. I talking about Nick Robertson for a week straight. At least it's not talking about the core four, which is fun. So yeah, I like it. We're going to see more from Cowan, more from Pacioretty, more from the guys. You and I, one of the things we talked about doing the broadcast tonight was writing down our opening night lineup. This matters tonight. This has impact into what the Leafs will do.
Yeah, I've always said that in the preseason, I like the road games way more than I like the home games because I don't really need to watch through my hands with where the stars are playing in these meetings.
Matthews can't have 2 preseason goals in the past 10 years.
Couldn't tell you one.
Right.
I think he scored on Carey Price maybe in his first year, and I was like, wow, that was sweet.
Yeah.
I don't want to see him again until the regular games start. So I like the road games. I like seeing Pacioretty out there. I like seeing these guys that are fighting for jobs. So the road games are way better, so we don't have to watch Nick Robertson spear Nylander into somebody's knee again tonight.
I've had
time.
a dozen NHL training camps in which I participated in NHL exhibition games in all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot recall a training camp like this one where so much talk is about revisiting what are we doing here? The makeup of minor leaguers against major leaguers, road games that teams aren't sending their stars.
So the talk about the structure of preseason even existing.
Of it, all of it needs to be apparently revisited by the NHLPA and the NHL. Like, I don't know if the needle will move at all, but I can't recall ever so much polarizing talk about stars being hurt or having. Who's the team that's over in Czechia, New Jersey
and Buffalo.
So
they played them all at once.
New Jersey's got their A team overseas, and they're playing here. It's like against the Rangers the other
but
night.
Your team's there. How are you also?
Exactly. Like, who is on there? And
it actually is not right.
Why do I want to play against this team that's pretending to be an NHL?
This is an
hockey
NHL
club.
preseason game.
And I do think that you talk about the injuries. I think a lot of, I don't know if there's any validity to this, but it's something I've been thinking about. When you're playing the Stars at home, like, for example, what happened to Line A on Saturday night. You're playing the Stars against the road team who is the quote-unquote non-Stars, the Marley guys, the ECHL guys. I mean, you guys have both played enough hockey in your life. It's more dangerous when you're playing against bums like me than it is when you're playing against people of your own skill level. It creates a dangerous mix where you're having like these ECHLers play on the road versus these Stars at home. It's a weird thing.
But I would say it's only fairly recently that NHL teams seem to have agreed on a structure for the preseason where it's bad guys on the road, good guys at home. 3 years ago, yes. 5 years ago, I'm not so sure. It only seems like the last few years where teams have said, there's going to be this sort of duality of teams rather than it used to be. Let's get in everyone in a couple games and off we go.
It's the plan.
Like,
there is a plan.
And again,
Leafs came out hot with their first roster.
To your point where Patrick Laine's coming through the neutral zone 1,000 miles an hour, and he meets up with a kid who probably was like scared to death.
Flat-footed, like a deer on the highway.
Doesn't know how to react. Never seen a guy quite like this, and needs a reaction. I mean, even Patrick Laine should have known better. Like, it's an exhibition game. Like, what are you doing? You going 1,000 miles through the neutral. First of all, hey, Montreal Canadiens, I got news for you. The guy's a shooter. I'm not sure. I don't want him coming through. I can think of a few more players on your roster I'd rather have come through the middle of the ice 1,000 miles an hour than Patrick Laine.
Yeah, this isn't.
You are a shooter, my friend. Yeah. You are not a carrier.
I mean, this does steal from the National Hour, but he said, that he blames himself for the incident, basically, right? Is that? I mean, that's paraphrasing, but
put a reversal on that incident, and a Montreal Canadiens standing flat foot takes out Marner or Matthews. What would the uproar have been in this town?
There would have been some. No doubt about that.
Man.
Yeah. So my guess, Kip, is that they're going to go to 84 regular season games and take away 3 preseason games or something like that. So the guys play one less total game.
Yeah.
But owners are going to want 2 more.
But some guys like it. Some guys don't. You mentioned yesterday's show, Connor McDavid, I want to play more.
Yeah.
Like, Edmonton's like,
How about Joe Woll? Is he playing tonight? No.
It does affect your product if you play less in the preseason. Like, I'm a huge NFL fan. I watch every Sunday. The first 3 weeks of the NFL, they're like borderline unwatchable. Like, it's just the product is not good because the first 3 weeks, everybody's like sort of playing their first game, getting their first reps. The first 2 weeks of the NHL season, generally, it's not as great a hockey. It's a little bit more like preseason. So the less guys play in the preseason, the more it affects your regular season product. So it's a give and take, but like, who remembers the first 2 weeks of the season anyway?
We
just get through it. Most fans don't even know.
Yeah.
They're not good enough.
We'll see a bunch of 3.5, fourth liners battling out tonight. And Saturday night, we should see a pretty darn close lineup for Craig Berube. Saturday night for the back-to-back against Detroit, going into Wednesday night's home opener.
Yeah. Tonight's Leafs decor is Kokkonen, Matanen, Myers, Niemela, Rafai, Weber, and Liljegren. Liljegren is the only one in the group who is likely to be in the opening night lineup. Maybe Rafai makes the team, but this is their AHL decor, essentially.
Don't read into anything.
What kills
like
me
that.
is Liljegren here, and not to get ahead of the show, he's not even on power play 1 tonight. He's playing with the AHL guys, and he's not even the top power play. Niemela is going to run the top power play unit tonight. So, like, what is Berube, like, anyone else noticing that Liljegren's getting treated like an AHLer here?
But Liljegren isn't in the plans to run any power play,
didn't they try
significant
it?
power play. So don't give it to him. Give it to the young kid that could still build some confidence up.
I mean, I don't know if
That's where it's coming from.
Then it's the old, what would you say you do here for Liljegren? What is the game state where Berube's like, it's Lily time. Get him over the boards. This is Lily's sweet spot.
He's
Not
a
offense,
5'6".
not defense.
He's a 5'6". He's mid and he's a 5'6".
Not really PK. Kind of does PK because you need him to do something.
Just a serviceable depth guy.
So when you're up
who's
or down
making-
3, you want to put him over the boards?
No.
4?
No. He's sometimes
rather have a guy who does a thing.
sometimes you got to shut down your third pair.
I'd rather have a guy who does a thing, who kills penalties or hits someone or
Well, maybe
at least Timmins does something. He's an offensive
that'll be
guy.
a huck and paw when he's healthy.
That would be great.
Okay.
I'm on board with that. I'd rather have Timmins, who you say put him on the power play at least. He's got a noticeable.
But between Morgan and Ekman Larson, the power play is going to get looked after, and your fourth forward.
Yeah.
So you're fine there. You don't need to have him believe that he's this close to
Getting a
chance, right?
Just give me a chance.
So
He's getting no chance.
Liljegren, still, in my opinion, they probably like to get rid of him, like to get rid of his $3 million, but you can't. It's hard.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think you can early in the season, but a couple of injuries for
The
a
other
few
thing,
teams.
too, is
the right
like,
shot.
who's-
25.
What other right shots do you have? Tanev?
Hawk and paw, but you don't know when he's going to be ready to rock. So
Can't count on that guy.
No.
That guy is nothing but a cherry on top if you can keep him healthy till spring,
Well, then they need someone else.
right?
What about this Philippe Myers? He's played a sneaky 200 NHL games or something. He's 6'5". He's only, I want to say he's 20, I don't know, 6 or something. No?
No, not ready. He's just not ready.
26. If you're not ready now. It's like an avocado. You got to get him. There's like a 3-month window. He's going to be ready. And then, he's old now.
You can go by and pinch him a little bit. Not
No,
too ripe.
still too green.
Too ripe. So then, really, all the significant potential changes are up front.
Mm-hmm.
So, how many spots are legitimately open for how many guys? I'll start with you, JB.
Well, looking at the roster tonight, the guys who are in it, there's some fringe guys. So Cowan's playing, Grabenkin's playing, Yarncroc, Kemp, Lawrence, McMahon, Alex Nylander, Max Pacioretty, Robertson, and Alex Steves. So amongst those guys, there's probably, 3 spots or something available?
It could be, yeah.
Something like that?
Yeah.
So Pacioretty's going to get a chance. Robertson's got to make the team.
He's not on any bubble at all.
Patch.
He's starting. Patch is going to start.
Robertson, too. Robertson's in.
You're
That's sold.
no, I would say that he probably would start, but you got to also remember they do have a salary crunch.
Mhm.
They have guys hurt. You're going to finagle the salary cap to the point where you may not have to send anybody down right away. So, Connor Dewar for me is on the outside looking in.
He's hurt.
Yeah, but he's close. He's skating
Right,
and he's
Cap
hurt.
purposes.
You'd probably want to keep him hurt for salary cap reasons to start. But to me, he's behind Holmberg. He's behind Nick Robertson.
Yeah.
He's behind Cowan for me.
Wow.
And I don't even have Cowan in the lineup.
Well, that's a good. I mean, we're on to day 3 here. And I think one of the biggest talking points heading into this camp.
Cowan had a chance to make the team, it felt like.
Yeah, I think a lot of people over the summer, listen, I had a lot of Leafs conversations over the summer while you guys were golfing. I had a lot of conversations about it.
You weren't.
Listen, I was on air every day. But a lot of people, the Cowan thing was a huge, huge conversation. And I think by all accounts, it hasn't been the strongest camp for him. Like, has he jumped out to you in any of these games, or you've been kind of blown away? His best game was when he got to play with, Max Domi and Mitch Marner, where you'd want him to be good in that game. But it's been a big talking point. I don't know what you guys thought.
More than anyone, to even have a chance, needs a night tonight. He needs 2-1.
It's kind of hard because he's coming off such an amazing, unexpected camp last year, and then he goes right through and becomes CHL Player of the Year and has this amazing run in junior hockey and doesn't even go back to training camp, even though he's eligible for his 3rd year or 4th year. I'm not sure if he was an underage or not, but whatever it is, he's got junior eligibility. He bypasses London's training camp. He trains with the guys all year. He's living with the players. Is
that right? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And he's saying to himself, I'm making the team this year.
Yeah.
So it's hard. It's hard. It's easier to sneak up than it is to manage high expectations. True. And now he's had high expectations. And then early in training camp, you can see sometimes he's like, this may have worked in junior, but it's not working here. So I'm going to get it out of the game and I'm going to try to do this. And he looked like he was caught a lot of times, which he admitted himself when he spoke to the media. And now I think in the last game and a half, you're starting to say, hey, this stuff that I could do in junior, I still need to try here at times.
So you can't show the game too much respect.
No,
you need to still do you and figure it out.
That's where he is right now. But right now, Nick Robertson looks a little bit more seasoned than him, as he should.
Sure, he's 23.
Exactly. With experience.
Yeah.
So does that mean that you can find a way to keep Cowan up here and spend a couple of weeks? Does that make sense? If he's not in the lineup, does it make sense to keep Cowan around if he's not playing?
It's not a terrible idea. I know I've talked about it a lot with you guys, but when the Marlies kept around, what's his name? Mason Marchment, who's now with Dallas. He didn't play games for the team. They didn't think he was ready to play, but they just put him in the gym. He was around the team, talking systems. They just built up his body, got the pro experience, and eventually
But he's still he's not a CHL.
Who?
Marchment.
No,
right?
no, but
it's easier to do that with a guy like Marchment than it is Cowan.
No, but Marchment was at the time 19, 20 years old when they did that. And
with zero expectations.
Right. Zero expectations.
Zero expectations.
Totally. But I thought you were getting at the point that maybe it's not bad for Cowan to be around and,
I'm not sure how I feel about it. Ultimately, the kid's got to play.
He's going to play 9 games, I bet, this year at some point. Doesn't have to be games 1 to 9.
I'm not sure.
Not sure.
The roster for the Leafs is we're trying to win today, yeah. Right? And I don't know if you can buy that sort of time for them. Maybe you could have 3 or 4 years ago, but not now. There's got to be a sense of urgency to get guys in their proper place and learn a system. Like, I expect some ugly hockey out of the Toronto Maple Leafs to start. I really do. I think they're trying to. I think the first 15, 20 games maybe just to try to kick some Sheldon Keefe habits or their own habits and bring in Berube's habits.
If you're Berube, you're probably looking for moments where they mess up to capitalize, to make your point, to say, it's not how we're doing it. Watch the video, sit some guys down, do those sorts of things. Why don't we stay on Cowan just because we have some Berube clips on where he thinks he's at. Why don't we start with the first one, just how close is Cowan?
Okay.
How close is Easton Cowan to making this team?
Well, he's a good player. He's there, He's going to be in the game tonight, so we'll see how that goes.
He's there.
Yeah.
I saw him for breakfast today. He was
human.
actually there
Has legs.
having breakfast.
Gonna play.
And, he's a good player.
That's not for today.
Like, hey, Chief, why don't you just pack his bags and put him on a bus back to London right now? But
What do you? How about Brube clip 2? Maybe a little more electric here. What are you looking for from Cowan?
Well, listen, he does what he does with the puck and make plays, and he's very good at that. He's a good player, offensive player. He's got to be responsible defensively and manage the game.
let's just admit it right now. Kippers, Clippers is dead.
Let's all take a moment. Hang our head. Moment of silence.
You know what kind of long year we're in for with those clips?
It's just something that we haven't really looked at much.
We're gonna have to have a little sit down with them.
Our show's cooked.
Like this is
Okay.
This
a
is
tent
devastating
pole of
blow.
our show. We sit here and we parse through all of Sheldon Keefe's word salad for 25 minutes every day.
It wasn't good.
Sheldon
Chief,
Keefe used
This
to
is not St. Louis.
Do you want to cover the Devils?
he used to listen. Keefe used to do in the morning. He would do 13 minutes in the morning, like 13 between 8 and 13 every day. I would cut all the tape. I know it all.
But you couldn't shut him up if you tried.
Berube spoke for 1 minute and 37 seconds today.
Oh, no.
It's,
Couldn't get 100 seconds.
It's
eh?
over.
Got 97.
It's over. It's
I'm
So do we need any more proof that Cowan is not ready for Craig Berube? Or Craig Berube's not ready
for Cowan.
for Cowan?
outside of people wanting a shiny new toy for the Leafs?
Yeah, what has he
What?
shown that makes you think he's going to?
But why does it matter if he's on the team? Like, you have enough good players. Like, the role he's going to be playing on the team probably isn't one you want him playing anyway. You want him going out there, touching the puck, feeling the puck, scoring tons of goals, playing for the World Junior
Not
team.
cracking
doing
the
the-
first power play unit.
People are so desperate for the new thing where it's like, oh, this Cowan. It's like, well, just let him go play in junior.
This is
It's
actually
not
one
the
of
end
the
of the world.
major perks of having a good team is that your good players like that go get better.
Yes.
They handle the puck and play 22 minutes
Yes.
a night instead of sitting on the bench and playing 11.
He is going to be a go-to guy for a top 10 ranked CHL team that's going to light up the OHL like they do every year. And he's going to be the go-to guy, probably be the captain of the World Junior team. It's fine.
It's fine.
It's totally fine.
It's fine.
He's a kid. Just let him go. Anyways, the amount of Cowan conversations I've had, it's like they have lots of great players.
Do you want to do the next Berube? What's the approach to the next two
This is
games?
a really good one, too.
All right,
It's a really good one. Clip 3, yeah.
Gonna play today.
Well, I
What are you
think
still
I think some guys that are in the game today, we're looking to see what they can do. They're right there. We got decisions to make. So that game today for me, they're going to go against a good lineup and see how they perform.
I mean, it's nothing. He said nothing.
That's a guy, bud.
They're right there. We got decisions to make. So
Well,
All right, boys.
this
There
has
you
been
go.
fun.
There you go. There you go.
This is as old school as it gets for a head coach.
Got to tell you, from a content perspective, horrible. Devastating, even. From a coach of the Leafs perspective,
But I will say
Love it.
this.
perfect.
We
Love it.
actually need him to get pissed off.
Yeah.
Then it'll get a lot more
Well,
entertaining.
the thing is, he's not going to go 82 games saying nothing. There's going to be lows.
no,
And
for
there's
sure.
There's going to be games where he is not filtered to the degree he probably should be, and we'll know.
Didn't he say something after the first preseason game that was like, we got a lot of work to do? Like he was somewhat critical
Yeah.
after the first game.
But
So
here's the reality: what he's saying is the truth about all this stuff. What's the plan for the next two games? We're gonna play the guys and see what happens.
get through it healthy
Yeah.
and start it on October 9th.
There's no grand strategy. We're gonna see how these guys do and pick
Yeah.
the best ones
No,
next.
Yeah, it's
get
kind of
it.
how it's worked forever.
But when you had Sheldon who couldn't shut up to this,
And we were treated.
it's an adjustment for us.
There's a saying, boys, you don't know what you've got till it's gone.
You wouldn't have him back for Berube and a.
Oh, of course. No. But from the content perspective, I
Yeah,
would.
fair
But from a coach perspective, no.
So I've got Lawrence.
Lawrence.
Okay.
Let me.
I got to get used to that.
Yeah, it's
Lawrence.
Lawrence.
I've got Stephen Lawrence starting Wednesday night.
You do.
I do.
What do you like?
He's big.
Very.
He's big,
Mhm.
and I think he could understand where his role is, what his lane is. He can get in the way of people.
Mhm.
He's not the best looking skater, but far from
He's not slow.
the worst.
Yeah.
So I think he's a perfect guy right there.
Yeah. It's like that thing you've been looking for when you look at your fourth line and go, can we just get like a big guy who hits and kills penalties? And he's like, sure.
Well, I mean, one of the tentpole thing that you guys have talked about forever was with the Leafs bringing in these older stars to play on the fourth line where you're like, you're fourth liners now. And then they're Brian, they're like, sure, buddy.
Okay, yeah. Wait till I
Like,
get the puck. I'll
Lorenz
show you
is just
fourth
a
line.
big, tall, penalty-killing fourth liner who knows he's a fourth liner, knows his role, knows what he's supposed to do. Like, there is value in that. Like,
Was it Luke who did the article with him? He basically said, Lawrence had comments where he's like, you're not picking the best players. You're picking the right players. He was basically saying that's why you're picking me.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to go, I'll be the 6'4", 220-pound, 28-year-old who's going to do the things you want to do and not complain.
that's elite self-awareness right there.
Oh, so nice. Oh, where people.
I think, David Kampf is a guy that I think in a perfect world they like to unload.
You do, eh?
Yeah, I do.
He's
just too much money.
Centerman.
I know, but Holmberg can go in there and do it at a fraction of the cost. But he's the one thing that you got to be sure of that over long stretches that Holmberg can actually do it. Kamp's a natural centerman, and there's a question between 2 and 3. Right, one's okay, and if you lock in Kamp there, you think he's okay too. But 2 and 3 in the middle, what's it going to look like?
I don't know.
No idea.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
So that's a lot of money. 2-4. Even Yarncroc.
That's the guy.
Yarncroc's a lot of money too, but he's reliable.
You love him.
I love the way he plays.
Like, you can find a guy to skate up inside on the left wing super hard and look like they're moving really fast and like hit the end glass with a wrister anywhere, unless for $2.5 million. Like
he is a conscience. A conscience.
He choked up about it.
No, I bit my cheek.
So yeah, that's why the thought is if it's going to be Willie and Max, you probably have Yarncroc running shotgun there.
You need to grow up with them.
If I had my choice between keeping Yarncroc or David Kampf, there is no question in my mind I keep David Kampf over Yarncroc. No question.
I think I would too.
Like, I think Yarncroc is. I get the Yarncroc experience.
This market is so hard on guys who don't make nothing or a lot. Like, heaven forbid you're Alex Kerfoot and you make 3.5 and you earn it.
Oh, here we go with the Kerfoot.
But it's not the market and it's not the Leafs. It's how teams are constructed today. It's just everybody does it.
There's no middle class.
There's no middle class.
Well,
they shrunk the middle. It's either big or next to nothing, interchangeable pieces. Yeah. You just got to make sure they're serviceable. That's all.
I just think of
cheap.
When I'm building a lineup, I look at guys who you're like, everywhere I put this guy, it makes me feel better. And, doing that in the minors with Zach Hyman, with Connor Brown, it was like every line that guy is on, I like that line. I feel that way about Kampf and Yarncroc. Maybe they should play together. Maybe Yarncroc should play some fourth line or third line or whatever you want to call it. But, and I've said the opposite about Max Domi. Everywhere I put him, I'm like, I have trouble with that there. That doesn't quite work. I like the guys that make you feel comfortable, and those guys make me feel comfortable. They're my security blanket guys.
All right. Anything else on the lineup?
Well, we got 2 big topics.
No.
The future of the president, the team getting bought by our company, with some things we were just going to touch on, but maybe we can save those for another day.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah,
We
because
got
it's probably a bigger conversation. It's probably a bigger conversation because there is changes, big time changes up top, and a lot of question marks for sure. But
I'd like to review what those are.
We'll flush that out when we have more time. All right. You want to take a quick break here?
Let's take a break and then we'll get to Gordo. Yep.
We'll get Gord Stellick, former general manager with the Toronto Maple Leafs, and now one of our go-to guys on the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. Back after these words. Derek shut me down. I'm talking, and you don't go until Derek gives you the green light, man.
You saw me eating chocolate. Didn't want to turn the mics on.
Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. Now I know we're back. You know how I know we're truly back? Stellicktricity. That's how I know we're back.
There he is.
Toronto Maple Leaf analyst for Sportsnet 590 The Fan and former GM of your Toronto Maple Leafs. He's wonderful. He's talented. Put your hands together for the lovely Gord Stellick.
Gentlemen, does Derek say it's okay to go?
Yeah, you're green lit. How are you, Gordo?
Refreshed?
I'm refreshed. I'm good. I'm all set to go. Good summer. This is in the hockey world, Kyper and Justin. The best time of the year in some ways is the playoffs for 16 teams. But right now, all 32, they truly believe whatever their best upside is, they can achieve it. So I always like this time of year, and I feel the same thing, getting back in the saddle, doing all this stuff.
Okay. If we were to go back to moments after the Boston Bruins beat the Toronto Maple Leafs in overtime, Game 7, and you had a vision what the Toronto Maple Leafs lineup or world would look like going into Game 1 of the following season, would you say that you're surprised or underwhelmed or overwhelmed at what transpired between losing Game 7 and where we are today? And I include the goalie or the coaching change, the free agents, the somebody's got to go superstar narrative. Where are you going into Wednesday?
I'm satisfied. I'm not overwhelmed or I'm not underwhelmed. I really liked that team last year. Collectively, we look at a bevy of 7. I don't count the first of the 8 years, the loss to Washington. But since then, it's pretty well always been a playoff disappointment. But you look at how they battled last year, 7 games, no Matthews, no Nylander in some of the games. The margin was quite small, but again, they didn't find that margin to make the difference. The other team made the difference. But I found so many positives. Joe Woll being developed as a goaltender, the way Max Domi filled had to play up in a different role. I was hoping they could keep a guy like Bertuzzi. I know they couldn't keep everybody. So I wasn't expecting a ton of changes. I wasn't expecting one of the kingpins to be traded. I never thought Marner nor anybody else was going to get traded. So I liked that team the way it ended last season. They're not a Stanley Cup favorite, I wouldn't say, but they're certainly in the mix. So I'm satisfied with this team heading into this regular season.
Let me ask you a crucial question about the vibes. I want to get your feeling with this team. Tavares has handed the captaincy off to Matthews. Berube has come in, and he's a little bit more blunt force trauma than Sheldon Keefe with his more lawyerly answers. Things are different. Tree Living, we're 2 years into his time now. How do you feel about the feel of this team? Are you okay with, the energy and where it feels like the Maple Leafs are at?
So, okay, yes, those kind of changes. Okay, would they have made a difference last year? No. Sheldon Keefe had a great run as a coach here. He really did a solid job. And John Tavares as a captain, certainly commendable. At some point it was going to change. But, Justin, what I liked was, okay, no room for error. And I'm actually looking, Skippy and I still do columns in the Toronto Star. I haven't done one yet, but I'm thinking one based on that great Roger Federer quote last June at Dartmouth University when he said, look, I won 80% of my matches, which doesn't surprise us, but I only won 54% of my points. You go, you're kidding me? 54% of your points. But that showed that kind of margin, and the Leafs need to get that 54% to get 100% playoff satisfaction sometimes. So whatever little tweaks they're putting, if Ruby can make a bit of a difference to this particular team, if saying Austin maybe a year early, look, this is your team, whatever, let's take it now. You don't want you to be the lead jockey. If that makes even a little bit of a difference to attain that 54%, then that could be a huge difference. If they get that, if it's somebody else seizing the moment like David Pastrnak did, and he did it with a couple of guys like Marner and Riley getting outmaneuvered on that particular play. Well, the Bruins go on, have a great playoff. Jim Montgomery keeps his job. David Pastrnak was told after Game 6, you got to play better. And at least this year, they're telling the Leafs that, starting with Sheldon Keefe. It's not acceptable to keep exiting in the playoffs. You don't have to kill them. You got to get the 54%, not the 46%.
Thanks for giving me a great idea to write an article for the Toronto Star.
No, I've already done that, Kippy.
Oh, you did it already?
Washburn and Brandon, yeah.
I was going to steal it. I was going to steal it. In terms of, bookending the center ice position, we know Matthews is locked at number 1. We think that for the time being, Camp's got the lock on number 4. Where do you see 2 and 3 playing out?
Okay, here's a big difference maker because he did that last year with Willie for about 1 day. And when Ryan O'Reilly came, the same thing. You wondered where was he going to play, who was going to move to the wing, and they did that. Unfortunately, got injured as well. And I think part of with the whole John Tavares thing, and he's been very good, or seems to have been very good accepting this particular kind of role, is the understanding is if you're going to play strength up the middle, then, John Tavares might have to get used to being, quote, a third-line center, or, add Nylander, put him in the middle, if that's the best option. Let's see what Willie Nylander can do at center. Elite players generally like to play that position. He's played it before, and if that gives them 3 stronger lines, which in the playoffs, that makes a difference of each line coming over the boards has appreciably less ability drop, then that could be a plus. So I'm just saying, Kippy, I think this year truly anything can go. And if the Willie Nylander situation and they move him to center happens, you could have Matthews, Nylander, and Tavares in center. But I think in this year, Berube's got a little more latitude to do that than they were willing to go in the past.
Let me ask both of you, and I'll start with JB, maybe you first. Why did they bail on Willie Nylander so quickly last year?
I think it's a number of things, but I think structurally it's hard when you're a centerman. Willie, think how far Willie is ahead of the play, when he's creating breakaways, he's in behind the D, he's getting all those.
We call it cheating.
Yes. But he's good at cheating. Can you be good? That's allowed, right?
It's when you can skate like that.
Yeah, he's a good cheater, and I don't think you can cheat back there. So I think if you're a coach, you just see you're going to get less offense. You're playing in traffic a lot more. And then let's face facts. They fell in love with Fraser Minton last year. The guy had a great camp. And so, Gord, that's part of it for you too is, is there anyone this year that you could fall in love with? But the Nylander thing, I think, is worth touching on if they are going to give it more time than Sheldon did.
Gord, based on what Justin just said, does that make the probability of this working out this time remote?
Yeah, it does. Now, first of all, my level of play, it was called goal sucking, okay, when you play house league at Don Valley Village, okay? Yeah. It's called cheating when you're in the NHL and you're an elite player.
Cherry picking.
I also wonder with the contract situation, he got going really well. It was the last year of the contract that maybe they didn't want to rock the boat. I don't know that, but maybe they wanted to get it clear. Is he going to be here in the big picture? But you still got Fraser Minton. He can go down to the American Hockey League. You got Easton Cowan, who's worth a look. You got Pacioretty, Nick Robertson. You wrote a nice column, Justin, about him. Those other particular kind of options that training camp does. Training camp actually, for me, starts with the regular season. There's really no exhibition. What is it? It's a have against a have-not team every night. So you don't get an accurate gauge. You get in shape. And now you get the first number of games to kind of figure things out about who can stay and who can't stay. And they got a lot of bodies that are capable of staying. So they'll have some tougher decision makes a few games in. But, go back to it, I think maybe that was why they decided not to go full bore ahead about Willie Nylander at center last year.
So looking at this team, though, is there anyone else, though, like the way Minton caught their eye last year? Is there anyone that you've said, hey, I like Gurbankin or I like Cowan? Is there any of these young guys that are standing out for you?
Guys that caught my eye in training camp and then ultimately didn't do it is why I'm broadcasting now, Justin. Okay, if they truly had played the way they caught my eye, so so it's that old establishment. It's for your eyes only, as far as how you think. I take it with a grain of salt. I'm just glad Nick Robertson, showed that he's worth a shot. He's worth a shot anyway. I'm glad Easton Cowan had that one game to look really comfortable. And aside from that, I really didn't get a hell of a lot from the exhibition series. I know I should be going, hey, if the next game's on the fan, you got to watch it, all that stuff. But no.
It took me all but 5 minutes to start our season 4 here at Real Kyper and Bourne to know exactly how Justin feels about Max Pacioretty's chances of having longevity here. How about you?
I don't want to come across as a hater. I just want other people to have his opportunity. It's not about him. It's about the other people.
Don't backpedal.
Well, so Justin's going to be the parent phoning in for Nick Robertson for ice time. I can't wait
100%.
to call Craig Berube. My son Nick's not getting ice time, and that guy Max. Hey, give him a few games. We always are leery to acknowledge somebody can't do it anymore. I'm not, because I'm glad he had some games. I like the fact he was hitting too. he was getting some hits, Max Pacioretty, in 1 or 2 games. So I still think, and on a good team with a really good center, he didn't have a good center last year in Washington. Backstrom was out, Kuznetsov was out. I mean, so I still think there could be one more kick at it. But to your point, Justin, you can't have blinkers on. What works better? Like for a Bobby McMahon to make it last year, that really showed that, if you're persistent and you seize the opportunity, that they'll find a role for you, because he sort of came from the back of the pack. So I just think that's something about accurate assessment. You got a lot of different options there. And I don't know if I want to say I'm bullish on Max Pacioretty, but I got it's one of those things going into the season to see what happens. I mean, geez, we saw Nick Ritchie 15 games in, didn't work. David Clarkson didn't work. Whatever, certain things that look like sure things didn't work for whatever reason. And you got to be ready to pivot and adapt, particularly when you're talking about ending all these years of playoff disappointments.
Well, let's talk about looks like a sure thing, because everyone's so excited about Chris Tanev coming here and being a part of this team for a while and making Morgan better and shoring up their decor, and they're better because of Tanev. You've seen Muzzin come here and be that for a while. What are the expectations for Chris Tanev? Is he going to be like TJ Brody, where just no one mentions him and he just kind of does his job? Or how does he impact this back end?
Both the Tanev brothers, I really like it that they were both born the last week of the calendar year. Everyone's trying to time their kids to come out the first week of January and all that. And then neither of them were drafted. That's kind of a neat story that, just that kind of way they both went into the NHL and became proficient players. Too often we've got too excited about D that really haven't been able to live up to whatever it may be in Toronto. You got to love the addition of Chris Tanev. I mean, is he a Norris Trophy candidate? No, nor do we expect that. But hopefully, again, everyone about staying healthy, but he can add another spice in the Leafs system. Like, who expected Luke Schenn to thrive so much when he came with the Leafs in a brief period of time? I mean, he just had that great run, partnered with Morgan Riley, and got that big contract with Nashville. He hadn't played like that on the other years in and around his second time back with the Toronto Maple Leafs. So obviously, you're getting a core 4 guy. I mean, Joel Edmondson played really well last year. That guy played really well last year. So that's what I'm hoping, rather than describing a style of play, but being a dependable core 4 guy on the Maple Leaf blue line. And I certainly expect and believe he'll be that.
Craig Berube's talked about duels staying together, and we know Matthews and Marner will start Wednesday night. We also know that Matthew Nyes will start there Wednesday night.
Yeah?
Sure, why not?
No, you're probably right.
Right?
Yeah.
Give me somebody else.
Max?
No.
Okay.
Now, in the past, we've seen a revolving door of left wingers.
Yeah.
And it looks like they're committed to Knives, Matthews, and Marner. And if everyone's staying healthy, what's realistic for you, for Matthew Knives, to look like?
Hey, he's not a knife.
82. Knives. Knives. What did I say?
You keep calling him cutlery. He's not knives.
Knives? Not niece. Niece.
Yeah.
Nice. What's realistic for you for season for him if everybody stays healthy?
Okay, so statistically last year we had that weird game where Austin Matthews tried to get a 70th goal, right? And what a hell of an achievement and all that. I'm just saying. So I'm not going to throw out numbers, okay? Whatever, because it's kind of irrelevant. It's you want these players vying for the Conn Smythe Trophy at the end of the year. I love Matthew Nyes. I think it's a great fit. And when he came up the year before last, at the end of the year, I was the cautionary guy saying, I've seen a lot of people. Everyone's going, oh, Matthew Nyes. They always talk about someone who's down there. They come and, hey, Stuart Percy on D, I don't know, whatever. And all of a sudden, it just doesn't happen here because you got to give it a big, long run and see what gives. But from the word go, and I'm talking in the playoffs, he really showed he belonged. And I really acclimated himself to that style. So the other key is, and I believe he has it, it's kind of like Patrick Hornqvist with Sidney Crosby, kind of like Michael Bunting. Not everybody is cut out to play with elite players. As crazy as it sounds, but not everybody is. And Matthew Nyes seems to have that. And Nick Ritchie was one of them, right? It didn't work out, but to seize that opportunity. So I'm not going to throw any numbers there, but I think he's going to be a great fit. And I think this can be a real kick-ass line.
Oh, for God's sakes. You throw out some numbers then. Give me a number for him.
How many points does he need?
Yes,
if he doesn't score 50 points, it's a crushing disappointment.
50.
Minimum.
But you get a pool or something.
23 goals.
He goes for 70 goals, Matthew Nyes. Breaks Matthew's record. How about that? I don't what like,
If he doesn't, he's number 23,
30 and
right?
30 playing with Matthews and Marner.
30 goals.
Well, you're
Scored
going
15.
to get your
I know,
apples.
but he's a year older and he's big and strong. I don't know what he's tipping the Toledo at. He's a mule out there. He's big. He's strong.
He's a monster. He's like 230.
230,
Let's focus on
240.
that.
He's
Let's focus on the complete package, whatever it may be. He's going to get his apples. He's going to get his points. I don't know. What do you want me to say? 25 goals? I'll say whatever you want. You know, just, I like the fit. I like the fit.
Well, he could be the left winger they've been waiting for a very long time for.
Yeah.
That's the hope.
100%.
You were talking about looking at the Leafs wingers going back to 1967 in our group chat a while ago, and I don't know that they've had a ton of elite guys, and he could be one.
He could be one.
Last one for me, goaltending. Joe Woll, Anthony Stolarz. Are you excited about this duo? Because you look around the division and it's maybe Swayman, but it's Bobrovsky, it's Vasilevsky. It's a tough division for goalies.
Yeah, it is. It is. And even like, you know, again, we'll quantum leap to the playoffs. We'll leave it for now. But Freddie Anderson was a solid goaltender, but not a great playoff goaltender. But we'll leave that for now. Joe Woll, in a brief sample, has done the job in the playoffs. Now, is every goaltender minimum 6'7" now? Man, he's a tall guy. But I've always been bullish on him. I think I've said to you guys a few times when all the hype, Austin Matthews got drafted first overall that Friday night in Buffalo. And the next day, we're doing the draft on the Fan, and the PR people bring around this polite kid named Joe Woll, who I think was taken in the third round. And I just was always impressed, you know, meeting. It doesn't mean you end up being a great player, but I was just really impressed by that meeting. Loved the way he plays, loves his deportment. And Stolarz, there's two goaltenders in that goaltending carousel around the NHL. You know, the ones that go for $1 million and move around to a new team like James Reimer does and what have you. But Laurent Brossoit out of Winnipeg going to Chicago and Stolarz coming to Toronto that really had great years. I mean, they had solid 1B years, not backup years. So if he can play that way, that gives them a great 1-2 tandem. We'll leave the story of health alone because that's a legitimate concern when people get hurt. But, you know, we'll see too often. Hopefully that doesn't happen. But I am very satisfied with the state of the Toronto Maple Leaf goaltending.
Gord, do we know if the Dante's Fiesta is still alive in this city?
I live by a Greek place called Zante, so maybe it's Zante's Fiesta now.
You know, it can't be because we've mentioned it so often. We've never heard once from them. But yes, the infamous order that a guy at another station now, Double D, mistakenly said it was a single order. I ended up getting like a party platter in front of all my Sportsnet colleagues and I almost ate it. That was the sad part.
At least they let it go easily and you never heard about it again.
We told them
I was like falling asleep on the panel on TV because I'd had too many whatever they did. So
11 souvlaki's.
We told them if he finished it, we ate for free next week. Hey, Gord. Love having you back, pal.
Best.
Thanks for doing this.
See you guys.
Thanks, Gordo.
That is Gord Stellick.
Quickly on Matthew Nyes before we go. Nice. He was listed at 6'3", 217 last year, and into camp this year, he's 6'3", 227. Put on 10 pounds, even bigger.
I think he's heavier than that.
That might be too heavy.
The thing that Gordo mentioned,
that's heavy.
He just impactful in the playoff games that he's played. And he scores an overtime winner, not afraid to go to the front of the net. He was one of their best forwards in all 7 games last year.
Really hope Berube could take him to the next level, get some snarl in him too, because I think he can.
He beat the crap out of somebody in the Penguins last year. Who was it?
If he can do that 2 or 3 times a year and gain a reputation,
he's Kronk from Emperor's New Groove to me. I don't know if that means anything to anyone out there, but let me know.
All right, we're just warming up here. We go national next. Steve Valiquette, analyst for the New York Rangers on MSG, will join us. You want a breakdown of the goaltenders around the National Hockey League? Can't wait to hear his take on Swayman. That and more when we return to Real Kyper and Bourne. Let's welcome everybody into our national edition of the Real Kyper and Bourne show. We are live on Sportsnet right across the country. Sportsnet Plus. What else, Sammy?
Sportsnet.
Can you tell I lost my...
You lost your lineup?
I lost
right in
my
front
lineup.
of you.
There's a lot of pages.
It's not that many pages. It's 3 pages.
Kind of helps
Listen.
out, all right?
960 in Calgary?
960 in Calgary, 650 in Vancouver.
360 in
360.
Vancouver.
1312 in Yellowknife.
No?
No, it's here. I'll do it for you. 650 in Vancouver, 960 in Calgary, Sportsnet Plus, Sportsnet 360, and I'm pretty sure maybe Sportsnet.
Oh my
National
God, I'm
today.
so out of practice.
There's a lot of
I
places
gotta
we are.
ask, is there any point in listing all the places? If they're listening to us, they're currently
It's
listening.
always nice to
Yeah,
mention.
you tell
them, though.
Fabs that, okay?
It's always nice, isn't it?
I mean, we appreciate
tell
it.
you
I don't
what
think it's
I-
not nice. It's
I'll
just
tell you what I can't forget, though. This hour of Real Kipper is brought to you by Bet365.
our boys.
Getting multiple texts and tweets about Dante's Fiesta.
Is Dante still?
Well, what's-
Dante's it's still around. Yeah,
Really?
alive and
well,
well.
someone talked to
There you go.
Dante about
There you
getting
go.
us a Fiesta.
Yeah, we'd love apparently the Fiesta will no longer exist,
Yeah.
but still got pies. So
And, you know, I think it's fair to mention that Gord looks kind of good right now.
He does looks great.
I if I gave him a Dante's Fiesta, I could derail him. Right?
It's like giving me a beer or something.
Yes. Like giving
Take him off the wagon.
Yes. Yes.
That's a terrible.
Now I got
suggestion.
Gord with food, you with booze. I'm under a lot of pressure.
I know. You got to keep it between the lines, pal.
don't worry, you still got. I'll still drink.
All right,
You
we're
got
going to
Sammy.
welcome in Steve Valiquette very soon, if he's not ready already. But he's been an amazing guest, just in terms of the way he sees the game. And, you know, just to go back to our start, you know, we didn't really know each other 4 years ago when they put us together on this show. I thought maybe I was going to listen to analytical numbers for 2 hours. going,
Nerdnumbers.com.
oh, my God, get me out of here
Turns out
with
I'm
this
just another
guy.
jock.
And that didn't happen. And with Valley, that didn't happen either, because anytime he brought out percentages or numbers, I'm like, I get it. I can see it in the game. Like, he mentioned a lot of stuff over the last year and a half, 2 years for us, where I'm like, wow, that's fascinating.
Yep, I've seen your salary. You're good with big numbers. You can handle all these. You can do the math out here.
Not quite. Not quite. But he has a terrific way of looking at the game.
He does. And, it's a strange thing doing a hockey show and doing analysis. And goaltending is its own animal. Like, it is something completely independent. Is there anything like this in another sport?
Pitching.
Maybe like a thing pitching?
Yeah.
Or like a baseball player who plays third base can't discuss the mechanics of pitching?
No, he could.
Like, I goaltending is, I don't know. I've watched it my entire life, and I'm not sure what they're trying to do half the time.
I guess like quarterback, but all the guys think they could be
Field
a
goal
quarterback.
kickers.
Field goal kicker. Yeah, field goal kicker is a completely different thing, and it decides games.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Like, how nervous, as we go into Vancouver on our show in the National Hour, how nervous are those fans with Demko?
Very.
I know. Are we going to get the stock on to talk about the injury?
Well, that, yeah, and a ton more, and the injuries in general. Like, how about
Line A,
how about
Ryan Bacher.
Drew Doughty?
Yeah.
Like, wow. Can you see the
Season altering.
Can you see the LA Kings making noise right now without him for
the Kings
2/3 of the
I
season?
think they're going to miss playoffs.
Ooh,
They had 99 points last year, and
With
I think
those
they're going to miss.
brand new gorgeous jerseys. I guess the old jerseys.
That is a shame.
It's
it would
a
be a
shame.
shame, but we'll get to see him 82 times.
Anyways.
all right. Let's welcome him in, Steve Valiquette, New York
There
Ranger
he is.
analyst,
What's up, boys?
MSG. Look. Oh my God! See, it took me all but 2 seconds
Look
to
at
notice
the
our
Bucks.
Bucks
What a
in the
guy.
background. For those of you that can't see him on Zoom, Justin Bourne down and back, Kypreos undrafted on the top shelf. Well, no, not really. You got Emmys on the top shelf, if I'm not mistaken.
Guys, the books are ranked in alphabetical order. It's not least to. Okay, so I just want to be fair. I read 3 books this summer. You're 3. Okay? I'm glad I could chip in.
How are you?
Really good. Busy summer. I was on the ice a lot, probably 20 hours a week.
Who are you working with,
so-
Valley?
Got a lot of goalies that are between the AHL, college, prep school. A lot of new goalies. You wouldn't even believe what it's like to start with somebody when they're 14 years old, because it's the first time they're in an adult-sized body and protecting the net that they've protected since they were little, having to reach and stretch for every save, to now receiving the puck. It's a big difference. And one of the biggest eye-opening experiences I had this summer were how many times the goalies were flinching, like physically closing their eyes, because the shots are now harder for the first time. So bunch of exercises that I had to come up with to help guys to stop flinching.
What do you do?
So I actually take my iPad and I Velcro it to the ceiling of my locker room. I lay them down on a yoga mat, put their upper body equipment on and a helmet. I just drop pucks and I can show them. I can show them when the puck's about to hit their face, whether they are blinking or not. The bad guys, they're like closing their eyes. They're like the faces they make. And the good goalies are like taking it, in the mask and keeping their eyes open. So it's pretty fascinating.
You have to beat their natural human instincts out of them. Is this even good?
A lot of it is against your normal instinct. I mean, you throw anything at anybody and, you flinch, right? And you've got to really keep your eyes open. And that was an eye-opening experience for me this summer, coaching a new group of 6 goalies.
Valley, I want to start this segment off on just in general, the goaltending market. Much like a housing market, man, it can be hot, it can be cold, and it just seemed the last few years teams were more focused on less a star goalie than a 1A or more of a 1A, 1B than a star goalie, and then lo and behold, Bobrovsky wins the Stanley Cup at $10 million, and now I'm not sure where teams are thinking, and then we've got the Swayman situation as well, but has there been a correction in the way teams think about number one goalies now, or is that a little too far-fetched at this point?
No, I think you're right on it, Kyper, because we have to talk about how we're going to allocate the money. And because we're under a hard salary cap, there are 4 really important things that teams need to know about how they defend. And it is net front, it is below the goal line to front, it is off the rush with odd mans, and it's east to west when you're in OZP, or in this case, in the D zone. And if you are off on any of those, you're not going to win. Do you guys remember when I was on with you at the it was the Eastern and Western Conference Finals. It was at the conference finals, and I said, if Edmonton wins or Florida wins, it's good for my stats company because that'll be the 6th year in a row that off the rush, a top 5 team wins the Stanley Cup. And it happened. It was the final. So you can talk about the goalies, Kyper, but it's a 1-goal game in Game 7 away from a $2.6 million guy in Skinner winning. So the way that I'm thinking about it oftentimes now, and when you look at Shesterkin's situation, you're looking at Swayman's situation, can you stay healthy? Because that'll tie into Joseph Woll's situation. Like I'm on the ice yesterday at the Brunswick School, a prep school here in Connecticut. And one of the goalies that I trained there that's probably an NHL pick this year, he's a great kid, but he watches a lot of video. He watches a lot of YouTube. I said, Dylan, who are you watching right now? He said, I really love Joseph Woll. Best technical goalie, I think, in the NHL right now. So it doesn't matter if you hear it from me, a guy that played 20 years ago, or a 17-year-old right now. Joseph Woll's got the game. But here's what I go back to. If you can't stay healthy, guys, and you're not available, and it's amazing to me because you could be the best. You could physically and technically be the best. But if you can't stay available for the games, and here's where I go with this one. I remember Matt Nichols saying to me about 5 or 6 years ago, Valley, it's inexcusable to have a soft tissue injury at this stage of the game with what's at stake and what we know. And when you have injuries that are repeated, you can only forecast it's going to happen again. And here's one thing I remember. I was 23 years old. I had an MCL. It was a non-contact injury. And it really bothered me because I thought maybe I was fragile and I was just trying to get my career going. And I get out of that injury. I've got a trainer from the Toronto Raptors, coincidentally, because I was at the Ricoh Center. I was playing for the Toronto Roadrunners. It was the 1 year we were there at the Ricoh Center. And he says to me, look, you're going up and down for how many times per practice, and the pounds that are going through your knees and out of your hips. Well, fast forward, and I had this study done with Allaire. We were going up and down, Lundqvist and I, 300 times in practice. And that's the math on it, guys. The science is it's 600 pounds. It's 3 times your body weight through your hips that's coming through that force. And we're taught that we have to go down hard in the butterfly. The reason why is because it kind of pitches your body forward so you can actually get over the puck. So if you're working on doing it, playing goal the right way, you're not going down soft. Your weight would be back. You'd end up on your backside and rolling over. So you add it all up, and I think you got to be in the cold tub. That's what these guys were telling me from the Raptors. They said that everybody was either wrapping their knees or getting in the cold tub as preventative. So the work that you're doing after is even more important than the work that you do before. And the reason why, and I know I'm on camera here, but it's, you take your ligament, and this is how it's explained to me, it actually frays a little bit. And what you see is your ligaments coming apart during repeated exercises, like going down in a butterfly, where the ice takes that swelling out and it gets stronger. Your ligaments, your tendons get stronger. And I iced guys from age 23 from that injury all the way to 35 without a lower body injury. But I didn't know until that time. And even right now, I'm playing a ton of pickleball. I've got a cold tub outside my house now. I got one for the side of the house. I got the ice barrel, and it's set to 40 degrees, but I'm right back into it because I don't want an Achilles or an MCL or an ACL.
So do I have this right that, guys are going to get injured sometimes, freak things happen, but do you think if someone is getting recurring injuries to something in the NHL that there is some personal responsibility involved?
I think it's totally on the athlete. I absolutely do, especially when it's soft tissue, non-contact. We're not talking about Kyper on Fuhr. We're talking about serious.
That's hard tissue.
Yeah. We're talking about overuse every day in the net that's repetitive, and guys got to take care of themselves. Now, how you're allocating money for a guy that could be out or, not playing that game. Goalies are playing 55 games a season now. It's a lot when you pay a guy $12 million to not be in the lineup for you. And I have a hard time with that because, look, guys, the odd mans, this is the one that is really important to the Toronto Maple Leafs and the New York Rangers. They've never been in the top five. The Rangers last year are 28th off the rush. I don't care who's in your net. It doesn't matter. You don't defend well enough as a team. And you guys, I know, listen to your show. You guys are always talking about defense. You want trees back there. Kyper wants horses. You need it because you have to insulate that guy back there, because guess what? If you give up 3 2-on-1s in a game, you're going to get one anyways against you.
We're talking to Steve Valiquette, analyst for the New York Rangers on MSG here. I don't know what the numbers suggest, but the perception out there that the New York Rangers are a team that relies most on their goaltender in Shesterkin than any other team that I can think of off the top of my head. So where does this play out? I think he's publicly mentioned that he won't negotiate during the regular season, which means I expect him to sign a new contract as early as next week. Where do you see this thing going?
I think it has a lot of people nervous, including me, because he's great to cover. He's great to cover. But you look at the Stanley Cup, it's all about winning, isn't it? It's all about winning. And of course, I can see both sides of the coin. I can see it. I can say to myself, would I rather have that $12 million wrapped into some defensive defensemen or some checking centers and the positions that matter down the spine of the hockey club? But what are your options if you don't have him to? And he is so good, but at the same time, you're kind of saying, well, look, I could go all day on this one back and forth, fellas. I think it's a very tough one. And I did hear one thing about a year ago. He didn't like the Sorokin contract. I heard that from an agent, that he hated the Sorokin contract. And that tells you that he's going to be digging his heels in. That's what it told me.
Interesting.
That is interesting indeed. I'm curious to get your thoughts on how a team, because there's goalies that have moved teams, and how teams impact the play of the goaltender. Linus Ullmark goes to the Ottawa Senators, who it seems like every goalie who goes there is suddenly bad, but every goalie who goes to Carolina for years has been very good. How impactful is a team? And so what can a team like Ottawa expect to get out of a guy like Ullmark?
That's going to be one to watch for sure. We haven't seen it. I can't even remember one time where we've seen a goalie. You remember, go back to Ryan Miller going from Buffalo to St. Louis. We never see a goalie at the deadline go in and take a deep run. And I think that you talk about in the same context. It's not too often that I can recall a goalie coming into a situation and really running the table with a new club either. So I'm really waiting to see what Markstrom does, for instance, in New Jersey, because New Jersey, they had a season from hell last year, but they've got a really good team. And I see them as a team that gets in the Metro. Yeah. So I wonder, look, I think that the one thing that can really hurt a goalie is if you're used to seeing shots coming in with clear view, and you've got a coach by structure that wants everybody blocking shots and blocking your view. That typically can be a thing. But through the course of a season, you'll see things change, which is why you can't really read into sometimes structure too much or team systems. Because look, I experienced it with the Rangers with Lundqvist. We were by Lundqvist, he wanted to have 2-on-1s jumped at the blue line because he'd rather have a breakaway than a passer and let him shoot. Yeah. So, you don't know over the course of the year, but usually the goalies do have some say if they're ever heard.
So 2 teams in the East that expect to get a lot better and play more meaningful games, Ottawa and Montreal last year. If I'm not mistaken, the Ottawa Senators missed the playoffs by 16 points, 17 points. So Ullmark goes in there. Can he make up 8 points, 10 points? Can he make them all up and get them in the playoffs? What's realistic?
I have to take a deep breath because I don't know if he loves playing games yet. I'm waiting on him. He loves the split, right?
Oh, yeah.
Now,
the chest bump. Boom.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
Half the games is what he loves. He wants a guy, yeah. He just waits for the chest bump.
I'll tell you where my bias lies with a personal experience. And there's statute of limitations on stories, I know. So it's been 10 years, I can tell this one. And I won't use any names, but there was an instance where we're coaching a goalie in pro, and we send him home on a break, just needed a mental break. Comes back after a couple of weeks. Try explaining that to the guys in the room. Comes back. We tell him that he's going to play Friday night. Plays great. 2-1 win. Coach says to me, why don't we go grab him, bring him in. Let's tell him that he's playing again tomorrow. And I was like, all right, the plan was Friday, but not Saturday. He's like, no, he's got to go back in. He played terrific tonight. Bring the guy in. Coach looks at him. He says, I got good news. Played great tonight. You're going again tomorrow. The guy's face was, you said I only had to play Friday night. And I'm looking at the head coach, you guys, and I'm like, oh my God, I got to get out of this business. I can't take this. And I'm just saying, I've heard things over the years. Okay. The reason why Buffalo wasn't sure about him, and he likes to be in a tandem. And I wonder if not everybody, you guys, I hate saying this, but you have to know this. Not everybody loves to play the games. It's a great lifestyle. You look great.
What do you attribute to that? The stress of or stretching out an enjoyable moment of being a star one night, and I want it to last 3 or 4 days. I don't want to end it the following night when I have to go in there and maybe poop the bed.
What do people fear more than public speaking? Humiliation. You're always at risk, Kyper. You're going to be a tough guy. You're gonna get humbled at some point. Yeah. You want to be a goalie?
Yeah, you're right.
You're going to get humbled at some point. It's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. Hey, Borny, play the wing. If you don't want to play, if you play the wing, right?
You're so safe. Nothing happens there.
I'm looking at you, baby.
Coach.
You know what I mean? It's not for everybody, and it takes really thick skin. I know that I played a lot longer than what a lot of people expected me to play when I was in the OHL playing for the Sudbury Wolves. But I wanted to be in the net, and it's a big piece of it. You can look at my NHL stats and say, well, geez, you barely played. Hey, man, I was playing behind Lundqvist. The guy never got hurt. I never got a sniff to get a stretch. And that's, if I have, one thing that still burns me, it's that.
Just to back that point up, I'm watching some Stanley Cup final footage. Then Paul Maurice going into the third period. They're up 2-1 in Game 7 against the Oilers. And they played some audio in this clip I saw. And he says, everybody wants the puck. 18 guys, everybody wants the puck. And it's a because in those moments, you don't want to be the guy who blows it for everyone else. And you see guys shy away from it and say, I'll just be on the D side here. I'm not going to go get it and be the one who has to make a decision with it. Yeah. It is there. That's part of being a pro hockey player, is accepting that pressure. And that's interesting to note.
So can I just add and go back to Joseph Woll and Stolarz? And, Stolarz is coming off backing up in that comfort zone that you just mentioned moments ago with the Stanley Cup champions. And now you've thrusted him into a situation where not everybody's convinced Joseph Woll is going to take this thing and run with it. I mean, would he have been mentally prepared for that thought of maybe, can I go to 50 games this year? Do I want to go to 50 games this year? How do you see this scenario playing out?
Well, I think it's fascinating that we're talking about, and this is the question off the top. You can't get between anybody's ears, but I know that everybody likes a safety net. Look at Pittsburgh winning when they won back-to-back, and they go with 2 guys. And Washington really had 2 guys because Holtby doesn't begin the series. And we can go to Aiden Hill, of course, and go on and on and on. A lot of teams that I spoke to this summer, guys, they're looking at having 3 and 4 and sometimes as many as 5 guys that they're thinking about that can play games this year. How many are the Leafs going to play?
The Hildebeest.
Hildebeest.
Well, you could have 4, right? If Murray, Hildebeest,
Yep.
Woll, Stolars, are they all going to be healthy at the same time? 3 of the 4 are hurt a lot.
Hey, if you
Right,
ever get a
so-
chance to watch Hildeby, we could use a review of his game because we don't know much about him yet. So if you ever get to see him, let us know. I know he's been
All
in the
right,
minors,
I'm
but
on
keep
it,
an eye
boy,
out, will
I'm
you?
on it.
That's an assignment.
But guys, how many guys are going to be available? And I don't think teams believe, and I think this is a thing. The social media and the presence of back to the humiliation and the difficulty of mentally running with games and getting through the threshold where it's so hard and it's stressful. And, I could tell you that my games were stressful because I was playing once every 2 weeks. And the morning after the game, I felt like I was hit by a bus, right? Because you're just so tense. And if you're not careful, guys, the biggest risk that you run in your preparation is making too many saves before the game begins. And then the game starts and you're fatigued mentally. I mean, I've made that mistake. Guys make that mistake. There's just so much stress. And I just don't think that the microscope has ever been bigger on the goaltender than in this era. And I wonder how many kids really want to be goalies now, too.
Okay, I got a couple of quick ones because we're running out of time, and we need to do an hour segment with you. And even if we have to give up Sammy's
What about my
salary
new
to keep
setup,
you.
boys? You didn't even mention the new setup. I went from a lemonade stand to this decked
Looks
out setup
gorgeous.
here.
Well, I was going to, and I was going to be, I didn't want to embarrass myself talking about humiliation and be like, this is the same setup. But I thought it was different. Okay, good.
No, I told my wife, I'm investing in myself this summer.
You
I'm
look
looking
great.
Incredible.
Born.
Looks great. Incredible.
What are the helmets?
Okay,
So go ahead.
Vancouver Canuck fans, okay, they watched their number one goalie leave early in the playoffs last year, and he's not ready. Like, where is their concern level, and where would you think would be the biggest issue, the unknown of what he's truly going through?
Yeah, I'd say all the way back to 2 summers ago when I know there was a surgery that nobody really talked about.
Oh.
There's a long track record here, guys, of injuries, repeative, lower body. Same issue I have with the butterfly, which of course we have to do on every shot. At every shot, the goalie will end up going down to the ice at some point. The reverse VH, oh my God, is that bad on your knees and hips? I told you guys I was on the ice 20 hours a week this summer, and there's times where I'm getting into the reverse to show a 14-year-old. I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore. This is ridiculous. I'm walking down the stairs sideways at the end of the day now instead of going down feet first now. But I'm honest in my assessment that it's just very, very hard on the body. And I think that the injuries that Demko's had, I think he's one of the top 5 goalies. I know he's one of the top 5 goalies in the league. But it goes back to, if you want to be a true starter, you need to have those 3 things going for you, which is playing consistently, playing 55 games, and staying healthy. If you have those 3 things, you're a consistent guy, you play 55, and you stay healthy, you're a true number one. There are not many true number ones left anymore.
Okay, last one, and I want Boston Bruin fans to cover their ears. Okay? Swayman. Why wouldn't a team offer sheet him at, if I'm not mistaken, $9.1 million and give up a first, a second, and a third? And I've got a few teams that should be thinking about it.
I would do it.
25 years old, tremendous upside. Where are you gonna find another guy like this in the draft?
I thought he was great last year in the series against Toronto. I thought he was great. I trust his game now. I really do.
Sam says, yeah.
No, I mean it. Like, every sequence, you guys, and you know how I watch the game. Like I'm watching it frame by frame.
Yeah.
Did he beat the pass? Did he set his feet? Is he locked in and tracking down? Does he move out of his save well? He does all of those things. And, for the most part, stays healthy, right? And I think that he's hurt by what happened in his previous arbitration hearing, and he's let that be known. So, man, it cuts deep with him. He's really made it personal, and it seems like they have too.
If it's that personal, he's gone.
No.
You suggested a return for him there? That was the
No, not enough to be the guy. No, I don't. No.
All right then.
No. How's that? Hey, Borny, no.
No. I love that. That's a proper answer.
Valley, not a bad opening segment on the Real Kyper and Bourne show. I got
Tell
to
you
be honest
boys, I
with
know. Hey, once we get going, I'm gonna start making some more adjustments to this setup of mine. But I'm very proud.
It looks
that I
amazing.
Put some time in, and,
Fantastic.
There we go.
Stuff.
How recent are
it's
the
gonna be a
Emmys?
great year.
How recent are the Emmys?
Those are a few years ago.
No big deal.
I've got more, but I don't put them all in the book. They would look bad.
Congratulations.
Can we borrow one?
Can we borrow?
Yeah, right.
All right, pal. Thanks
All
for
right,
doing this.
you're making me blush.
Have a great start to the season, and we'll catch up to you soon. Everybody,
Take care,
Steve
fellas.
Valiquette.
Thanks, Valley. Appreciate it,
MSG.
pal.
He was awesome again.
Yeah.
It's like an automatic. It's like your
Always to be awesome.
And
It's
just
like
great
your-
answers.
it's like your Volvo.
Chekhov. Yeah,
Automatic.
Right? Beautiful.
So the compensation for offer sheets.
yes.
The numbers are very specific, so I'll do general
Yeah.
numbers, but it's between 6.8 and 9.1 is 1 first-round pick, 1 second-round pick, and 1 third-round pick. Between 9.1 and 11.4, it's 2 firsts, 2 seconds,
Yeah.
and a third-round pick.
I don't think you have to go to that.
And 11 and
I
above.
think you can do it at 9-1.
But the Bruins would no-brainer match that, right?
Well, then
pay it.
just pay it then.
Yeah.
Pay it and let's move on. Right?
And then 11 up is 4 firsts,
And
and it will be that. So
I don't know. I don't know. Like
Leafs should do it.
a few
Oh
lines.
my
A few lines have been drawn right now, and I think if Cam says I've got 64 million reasons why,
I can't
and
believe you said
now
that.
and now all of a sudden he's at what 60. Well, I mean it's an offer sheet would have to be 7 years, so right. But at least you get out. At least you probably get out. Maybe at this point he's sick of the Bruins and he wants to get out. But
If you're another team, if you're the Bruins and another team does that, it's almost like it makes the decision for you. Where, like, remember when the Habs did it to Aho?
yeah.
And they signed him to, like, a really reasonable, great contract. And they're
Right.
like, yeah,
Did
we'll do that.
Carolina a favor?
Yeah, thanks for that. It's like that.
made
There's
no
that
sense.
potential with the Swayman.
And if you announce it, then Boston would have to immediately match it and dump salary. I would imagine they can't fit 9-1 in at this point.
Chicago's perfect. though.
Fire.
I'll give you another team,
Mm.
Anaheim,
For an offer sheet.
offer sheet, and then throwing back Gibson.
Yeah.
Wow, he's still a good goalie.
Been a few years since he's had a good year, but
But-
they've sucked forever.
It's just, yeah, he's the perfect guy
he's a
who's
better
like, I don't know if
option.
he's good because the team's been so bad.
He's a better
Yeah.
option than what's out there. What did they claim the other day? Boston.
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
Yuri Laterra, is that a guy? Did I make that name
yeah,
up?
no, that's Yuri something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, all I know is if you're a Bruins fan, I do not like the things I'm hearing out of Swayman's camp. He seems pretty upset by the whole thing, and that's not a good foundation of an 8-year contract.
Game time?
Game time.
All right, it's game time. Presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds. Find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 18 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. So I just went through and looked at the division favorites for the Central Pacific, Atlantic, and Metro. And I don't think there's any surprises. Stars favorite at plus 190 in that division.
Right.
Oilers plus 100 in that division. Panthers plus 210, and the Devils are plus 180. Got to say, Bet365 absolutely loves the Devils this year. They are all over the Devils on everything that I can find on.
You know what's crazy is, do you guys remember who won the President's Trophy last year?
I don't.
Rangers.
Yeah, it was the
It
Rangers.
was the New York Rangers, who their turnover was basically non-existent. They're basically the same team. And just no love at all for the Rangers. I will say I also don't love the Rangers, but they had 114 points last year. So not a bad bet there. There's actually all of these you can quibble with except for Edmonton. So Panthers, were the Leafs close?
So I'm just giving the numbers here for the division winners. In the Atlantic, it's very close here. It's plus 210 for Florida, plus 250 for the Leafs, plus 450 the Lightning, plus 450 the Bruins, and then predictably falls off a cliff, plus 1,100 for the Red Wings, plus 1,100 for the Sens, Sabres 13, Montreal Canadiens 75-1. And the next closest in the Pacific was the Vancouver Canucks at plus 300. They're the next closest to win that division.
They won it last year.
Yeah, and the Oilers are plus 100.
Colorado in the Central?
Plus 220.
Plus 220.
So, yeah. So, some value to be found there if you're looking around. Carolina is the second favorite in the Metro, which I definitely don't agree with. Didn't love their offseason. Don't love their goaltending. But it's an interesting one where you can find some value.
On the list of teams that people are sleeping on, everyone talks about the Atlantic, how Detroit or Ottawa might be ready to take a step. I mean, Buffalo's decor now is, Rasmus Dahlin's the captain, Owen Powers in his second or third year, whatever it is, Bowen Byram's legitimate. Like, they have a good decor.
Not doing it.
No, I don't think, but I don't think they're any worse than Detroit.
No, all the teams underneath the four, to me, are all very similar except the Habs. Like, the Habs are...
Yeah, they're not in that.
All right, let's pick that up after the break.
Let me close it off here.
Yep.
That was Game Time, presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly.
Okay, we'll get into that after the break in terms of how much we expect changes when it comes to April and who gets in and who gets out. Also, injuries still an issue, including one with the San Jose Sharks with their star draft pick. We'll get into that. Line A, the news isn't as bad.
I have a quiz for you, too.
And a quiz.
I have something to quiz you on.
Quiz master.
A quiz.
Wrong network, guys.
God. Oh, yeah, we can't say that. I have something to test you on. So get that brain ready.
It's not even a quiz. They don't even do a quiz. It's not even a quiz. It's multiple choices.
Well, this is a real test.
Yeah.
This is a real quiz.
Yeah, I got something for you.
All right. You heard him. After the break, Real Kyper and Bourne. Welcome back into our final segment of the Real Kyper and Bourne show. This hour of Real Kyper and Bourne is brought to you by Bet365 as we hit some news and notes. And I think just recently the Edmonton Oilers announced Tyson Barrie has signed a contract.
Flames.
Oh, Calgary Flames, sorry. Calgary Flames.
Oh.
Oof.
Oh.
Don't make that mistake.
He scared some Oilers fans.
He's perfect. Perfect. Right?
Elaborate, please.
They're not going to be great. He's a serviceable NHL player and can hold the fort for
He's
them.
defense Nick Robertson is what you're saying. He'd be perfect on a team that's not really going deep.
Exactly. And he's just he's got experience. He can help some kids. Yeah, that's what you want.
And maybe he has a better than expected year with some elevated minutes, and you can trade him for a 4th round pick at the deadline.
Absolutely.
Right? Like some teams desperate for somebody.
Prices are high.
He'd have to have a hell of a year.
Think so?
A 4th round pick.
People
that's why I said 4th.
Right? Yeah, maybe.
You can still snap it around. Other than that,
if you're in a pinch or you've got some major injuries, I think again he can be serviceable.
I would, if we cover the Toronto Maple Leafs, would be falling all over myself to get my hands on Rasmus Andersson. Right shot, big guy. I love how he plays. I'm a big Anderson fan.
Yeah.
But they have a few guys that people are going to be looking at their roster in March going, I'll take him. Just like looking at their list, their roster like a menu, basically.
Yeah, for sure.
Coleman.
I know we touched on this in our first hour a little bit, but Patrick Laine avoids surgery now. I think the initial thought was he needed surgery. And then he went for a second opinion. I think they made him believe that the MCL wasn't completely damaged enough to warrant it. So, could he be back by Christmas? January.
I tore my MCL twice. Once you're hurt playing for the Hershey Bears, which you know well. It just is not a comfortable injury to come back from too soon, to try to force it, to try to come back early. I did come back too early and I tore it again. And, for a guy like Laine, who they said wasn't quite in shape at camp, and that's just because he had issues in the summer and trying to get himself ready, it's going to be hard for him. I don't know that you're going to get your $8.9 million or whatever his contract is worth this time around.
The next one?
Maybe next year.
Yeah.
So Patrick Laine not blaming Maple Leafs player Cedric Perry.
Pare, probably.
Yeah. We have a clip of him talking about it. You want to hear it?
Yeah, let's go to it.
Yeah, let's hear the clip there, Derek.
I don't think anybody's, trying to hurt anybody. It's just hockey's a fast game, and just kind of, put myself in that situation a little bit, and Dees try to make a stop, but it's just unfortunate collision, and he texted me afterwards, which was give him respect for that, but just unfortunate play.
Habs fans.
I'll tell you something.
Yeah, they want to be mad.
Oh my God, they're frothing at the mouth, and now he's like, I did it myself.
And maybe it gives them who are frothing a chance to look in the mirror a little bit and calm down.
Yeah.
And, I got to go back to my Grant Fuhr situation. And the moment I heard him speak of, hey, listen, it's a fast game, and Nick didn't mean to hurt me, like, it changed everything for me.
Mm-hmm.
Completely changed everything for me. Oh, yeah. Like, I slept a little better. That he wasn't mad at me and thinks I ended his career too early, and and I got to think for Pare or Cedric that helps him, right? He's one of the top scorers. Say what you will about his last few years. At one time, he was he was right there with
one of the biggest
Austin Matthews,
up and coming stars in the league, 100%.
So I got to think that it's a little weight off his shoulders
for sure. And great for Laine to have that sort of. He could be all in his feelings and just upset about what happened and lashing out at whoever. So for him to have that sort of awareness and, I guess, compassion in a way is pretty cool.
Did you guys see the Lightning in Florida have a hootenanny last night?
I saw old Victor Hedman get
another
smoked.
big hit.
Rocked.
Yeah. By the way, I've seen Victor Hedman walk through Sportsnet here before. I didn't know you could knock that down.
Yeah, he hit him hard. He got him perfectly.
Yeah.
Just got him right in the chest, kind of came up from underneath him a little bit and knocked him down. So everybody was saying that it was a huge reaction from Kucherov jumping him or whatever. It's a reaction, but it's the preseason. And it's a no-name guy trying to hammer your captain.
Yeah.
Which he did.
Yeah, I would hope that you react.
It was a good
that.
hit.
It was a good hit, but what Kucherov did in that situation to me is a totally valid response to your captain.
Valid, but he's a 140-point small winger. Is it not surprising to see
Jack Eye's attack on Pare?
What's that?
It's
justified.
Yeah, it's justified, and I'm not saying that he went about it the right way, but the course of the history of our game is to respond.
Yeah.
And the fans overall, over, again, the course of our history, like that.
Yeah.
Well, but I will say this, where I'm coming around now more and more, is that if you do want to confront the guy for a hit, whether or not you think it's clean or dirty, you can't jump a guy.
Mm-hmm.
You can't start jumping and pummeling him.
But today, guys won't give you the fight.
Well, then, okay, guess what? It's more accepted in 2024 that I don't have to fight than it's ever been before. And if he doesn't want to fight, then you just got to suck it up and find a different way to send a different message.
Well, and that ends up being Jack Eye running. Who did he hit? Sorry, what am I?
In which game?
Stutzla. The next day.
Yes.
Because Greg runs a guy, Doc on his team.
Yeah.
And so he doesn't jump him, and he says, I'll just find a different way to do it. You like that way better?
I would have suspended him.
Yeah.
But there was a fine line between technically, did his stick hit him? Did you clip him in the head? And you go through the process. But at least it's not jumping a guy and not giving him a chance to defend himself. That was more of a hockey play that may have crossed the line going wrong. Mm-hmm. But that to me is more acceptable of a response than Tyler Bertuzziing Steve Moore.
Yeah.
That's all. I
the other two
I don't want to see that anymore in our game.
Yeah.
You have a chance to ask him to fight. If he doesn't fight, then you know what? You got to suck it up and find a different way.
What's a different way?
That's for you to figure out. I'm out of the game. I don't play anymore.
Yeah.
But I don't want to see that.
That's interesting. I'm
I don't
surprised
want
to
to
hear
see
you say
that.
that.
And if you do that, it's not only are you out of the game, I will say if you do it twice in a year, it's an automatic suspension. That you can't jump somebody and start punching him when he is not a willing participant. I think the days are over where you're not a man if you don't fight.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get rid of that now.
What has changed your view on this? Or maybe did you used to feel like jumping a guy was more okay?
Yeah. You took out my best player. You better think it's coming. And if you don't think it's coming. Then it's on you that you're an idiot for thinking.
Just because guys don't fight now.
I just think that we have too many guys that aren't willing to fight. And if they don't, then you're just going to have to find a different way. But in 2024, it's a bad look now. Mm-hmm. It's a bad look in our game when we got one guy, thinking that he's watching the puck and another guy coming blindsiding him and starting punching him in the head.
Yeah.
I've had enough of it.
Weirdly late hits. Like the Hedman hit was kind of late.
The puck was closer than it was on either of the Ridley Gregg hit or the Jack Guy one.
The Jack Guy one's late. This one's borderline late.
All these teams are playing against their rivals every game.
Yeah.
Right? It's all in you're playing all these guys that are the teams that you hate the most during preseason. It's probably going to happen.
Yeah. I have seen some people say, well, you got to expect to get hit today, but these are good players
for sure
getting surprised by hits. These are really late. So
see, and
that's the thing with the preseason where I was talking about, where it's a guy trying to make a name for himself versus Victor Hedman, who's cruising around out there, probably not getting expected to get hammered.
The other thing I'd like to add on what I just said is that the officials cannot jump in and step in and not have them fight. The officials actually need a guy to go and challenge somebody, and if he's not a willing participant, then it's play on.
Mm-hmm.
It's just play on, and if the guy wants to chase him around, throw 2 or 3 invitations. I just think it has, within reason.
Yeah.
Within reason. It's almost embarrassing, too, for a guy to have another guy kind of follow you around for 5 seconds.
That's embarrassing enough.
And it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
And you could live with that. And, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But after a certain cutoff, if you're an official and you know that he's not a willing participant, then you get away from him, go back and play the game, and figure it out some other way. But if you keep following around, it's a 2-minute misconduct, or I'm going to kick you out of the game if you lay one hand on him.
When I was at Islanders camp, so 2008 or something, trying to make a name for myself, just looking for someone to hit, I hit Andy Sutton really late. Andy Sutton's like 6'8" or something like that. And I just,
Wow, big guy.
Well, I just was looking to hit whoever it was. I was on the forecheck and just wanted to finish my check, and it was quite late. And I went back into my zone, playing wing, waiting for a pass on the wall, and Andy Sutton came the length of the ice. And just puck hadn't come anywhere near me yet and absolutely blew me to pieces. My visor was around my chin when I realized where I was. Wow. There's this thing where guys I wasn't an NHLer. And, there are guys looking to looking to show people, hey, I'm here, I'm relevant. And it sometimes ends badly, as we've seen in preseason. Ended bad for me.
Hey, quickly, before we go.
Okay.
I was scrolling TikTok last night. This is never a good way to start a story. But I was scrolling TikTok last night, Kyper, and I saw this account called Bat Boys, and they go up to these guys who are established major leaguers, and they ask them if their starting lineup during their MLB debut, and they quiz them on how many guys you got.
Yeah.
So, inspired by that, from October 6, 1989, your NHL debut against the Philadelphia Flyers. How many guys on that team do you think you could name off the top of your head?
Yeah. I don't even remember what I had for breakfast today.
You like to say that, but
I will take a crack at this. Okay.
35
and I'll start with
years ago.
I'll start with my line.
Okay.
Kypreos, Rob Murray, and Robin Bow Wow.
Oh, I remember Robin Bow. He was tough.
tough guy.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Yep.
Second line was Ridley, Miller, and Dave Christian.
I'm actually stunned.
Okay.
From
I am
the
stunned
USA
you can remember this.
1980 team.
Okay, we're hot. We're hot
Okay.
start. Hot start here, Kippy.
Center, Dale Hunter,
This is shocking.
Okay.
Jeff Courtnall, and Dino Cicerelli.
Oh my God.
That's an unbelievable line.
They had a great night that night. Courtnall had 2 and 1. Dale Hunter had 1 and 2. +3. 0 PIMs for Dale Hunter. Impressive.
I got Michael Pavanka at center. I've got Steve Leach, my roommate, on the right-hand side. And I am struggling for another left winger. I'm a forward short. Alan May. Alan May was in there.
Is that right?
Yeah. So what was the one? Steve Leach?
Steve Leach.
You know,
Maybe he didn't play that
Steve
game.
Leach.
Okay, maybe he didn't play that game, but he was
A
on.
guy with a wild last name that I'd never even tried to pronounce. Scott.
Oh, wait. No, Tim Berglund?
Nope.
He's not there?
Nope.
No, he's a defenseman. We're going defense.
Okay.
No, defense.
Okay.
So, Scott Stevens, Rod Langway,
Yep.
Callie Johansson,
wow, this is a good
Kevin
team.
Hatcher.
Yeah.
Maybe Neil Sheehy, maybe Scott Kleinendorsed.
That was the one I couldn't pronounce. There you go.
There is
Okay,
Don
so you
Beaupre.
got
Don Beaupre in that.
Yes.
With
Beaupre, I
Olaf
love Don.
Kolzik backing up.
That's a good team. Were you guys good?
Buddy, how many did I get?
a lot. Like way more. Like all
By the
of
way,
them.
There's nothing more dude than just play Remember a Guy.
Hey, listen, I love naming dudes. One of my favorite things to do. Did you say Kelly Miller?
I did say
Okay,
Kelly
yeah.
Miller.
Is that Kip Miller's brother?
Oh,
or, is
yeah.
that Kip, or is that Kip himself?
How many guys in the other team can you
Brother,
remember?
I think, or
Yeah.
first cousin. There's a million Millers.
Yeah.
How many guys in the other team can you remember? We don't have much time.
Oh, my God. So I played the Philadelphia Flyers, who Washington claimed me off of.
Yeah.
Every shift, chirping. Kypreos, who do you think you are? Take it easy. Rick Tocchet giving it to me. Tim Kerr giving it to me.
Tough guys.
And Berube was on that side, too.
Ugh.
Yeah, he was.
No wonder they didn't need you. no disrespect.
I do remember we won our first game.
You did. You won 5-3.
There you
So that part of your brain is fine.
I don't know. Yeah, it is. It's weird.
That was incredible.
And I could
like,
tell
that went way better than I
that was
expected.
Rain
And I
Man.
can tell you who shot left and right.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
But then again,
what was our show about yesterday? Who'd we have on?
no idea.
Books.
Books.
That was it.
Oh yeah, Books. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, it's funny
I'm
how
scared.
Yeah, well.
I'm scared
impressive.
where my head's going.
Very, very impressive.
All right. Our thanks to who? Who's on our show? Steve
Valiquette.
Valiquette. Steve
Valley
Gordo.
and Gordo. And to Dante.
And Gord
Dante's.
Stellick.
Yeah.
Dante's Fiesta. We are on tonight, Detroit.
Oh, yeah.
And the Toronto Maple Leafs. Stick around. There's also baseball, is there not, Sammy?
Yeah, big game 3, Mets Brewers to decide who goes on to play the Philadelphia Phillies on
Go Mets.
Saturday.
Colorado and Vegas as well at
Yep.
10 p.m. Eastern.
Late night.
Have a great night, everybody watching on Sportsnet.